Hi, everyone. It's Heather Williams with the California AfterSchool Network. Excited to be here for another Fireside Chat. As always, joined by Michael Funk from the Expanded Learning Division at the California Department of Education, and very excited for the folks that are joining us today. We have a great group from Siskiyou County, and so we'll dig into where is that and what is all the awesome work that they are doing in their county. And yeah, we'll jump into that in just a moment. I do want to say just quickly before we do that, we're in the middle of our ELOP Academy, and so hopefully some of you all have been able to join us. We had our first two sessions this week on ELOP nuts and bolts, and also talking about expanded learning in partnership with UPK and TK. And all those materials are on our website already. And so we'll make sure to drop the links in the chat for you all so you can access those. And we have 2 days left. So if you have not signed up yet, we do have 2 more sessions, one on workforce, which I know a lot of folks have questions about workforce. That's a big ask right now in our state. And then the second on summer. And even though it might be snowing in some parts of our state, summer is around the corner, and so getting going on summer planning, if you haven't already, it should probably be at the top of your list. So the links to register for those sessions will be in the chat description as well. And with that, we'll just keep moving right along. So Michael, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Thanks, Heather, and thank you for always hosting these. And I'm very excited to be on here with Siskiyou County folks. But before we jump in, we normally have a policy update, or we might have just published some new frequently asked questions. There's not much to update you on at this point, except to say it is the time for it's legislative season, it's budget season, and it is a good time to pay attention. I testified last week at an Assembly budget subcommittee that was specifically about how expanded learning opportunities is a very effective strategy to reduce chronic absenteeism. Chronic absenteeism it's quite stunning how high the percentage of, and what the increase of the percentage of students who are missing school. And in fact, it's even more stunning that one of the places where it's most prominent is in kindergarten students. And so I'm not going to go down that path, but we do know that research has proven that students who go to high quality after school programs go to school more. And for those of you from Siskiyou who are with us today, this is stuff because you know how much the students and children attach to adults that care for them, and you know how much they thrive on getting to do activities that they care about and projects to work together with other students to collaborate in. And we do know that students have said, I go to school because I want to go to after school, which is no disrespect to the school day, but let's face it, for some kids, school's just not their jam, but they'll go if they get to go to after school. So with that, it's a busy time. Stay tuned. We've got another fireside chat we're going to record next week. There might be some other developments coming out. But let's get to our fabulous guests from Siskiyou County. Kelly, you are with the Siskiyou County Office of Education. And one of the things that popped up in the Expanded Learning Opportunity Program Spring Academy this past week was, in one of the days we had some speakers from large cities, LA, San Diego, and there were some in the breakout groups from the more rural parts of the state who said, that's fine, but we're not LA and it's very different here. And of course, nowhere's like LA, and everything's different from LA. But I grew up on a potato farm in a small town in Idaho, and rural is very close to my heart. And in many cases, the work that happens in the rural settings is even, the importance is amplified because there's not 5 other choices of things to do in some cases. Like you might be the only show in town, at least at that time. So I'm very excited, Kelly, to bring you and your team onto this fireside chat. So the great people of California and people who watch this in other states will get to know more about you, your team, your work. So tell us a bit about Siskiyou County. What happens in Siskiyou besides the fact it's snowing right now?
Oh, well, thank you. Siskiyou County is just a wonderful place to be. In my personal opinion, it is probably the most beautiful place in the entire state of California. Our resources are abundant. We have high desert, mountain, and access to coastal areas. So we are geographically very diverse as well as very spread out. I believe Siskiyou County is the 3rd largest county in California. However, we are not populated as such. So our populations are very small, which make us rural. In addition to rural, we also are frontier rural, which means that it's even more remote from access to resources. And so we have to get very creative in our process of building our after-school expanded learning programs to give students the same opportunities that students in more populated areas would have. And so we access online resources regularly. We tap into our community partners who might have talents that they really enjoy and bring them in. We tap into our janitorial staff, our kitchen staff, our teaching staff, our admin staff to come and bring resources to our schools. We have art time with the principal at one of our programs and things like that. So you have to get outside of the box thinking, and definitely passion for the job you do is a necessity to keep that motivation going. Without those things, it makes it challenging. So we're really involved behind the schools that have after school expanded learning in their programs. I'm at the Siskiyou County Office of Education, so we're the LEA for all of our programs. But what's really great and unique about our programs is, yes, we're the LEA, but each program, because of our diverse geographical ranges, they're allowed to design their programs based off of their individual unique community needs. Because within Siskiyou County, we have very diverse populations. We have areas where there's a larger native population. We have areas where it's more city-like. We have areas where it's rural and they still have access to resources, but not so much. We have areas where there's migrant population that are here for 6 months and leave for 6 months and come back and forth. So it's not just, the same everywhere. So I really think that's a bonus of our programming, is that each site gets to design based off of their community needs and their school's structure and the population they serve. That being said, just also to point out, where are we located? Some people have never heard of Siskiyou County. We are absolutely directly under the border of Oregon. So we're as North California as you can get. And that's great because then we also have a little bit of that infrastructure as well. We get that Pacific Northwestern vibe with us. So I thrive with that. I love it. And our mindset was prior, not our mindset, but the way things were prior was very siloed. Each site was pretty on their own, working out things, didn't have a lot of resources and support. So we've been working on changing that culture to bring us together as one community, one county, with our individual needs being met. Some things that we've done to sort of support that is we've initiated a site coordinator community of practice. So once a month, we have a Zoom meeting to allow site coordinators to come and brainstorm, talk about what they're doing, what challenges they have, what successes they have, so that they can work together and start breaking down those silos and become one expanded learning program in Siskiyou County, meeting our individual community needs. And it really supports our vision of facilitating a mindset to foster an enthusiastic, creative community of learners, and impacting the lives of all of our youth in Siskiyou County. And that's really our goal. And our folks today, Krysta and Lupe, who are the area liaisons that support direct services to the site coordinators, and Terra and Jake, who are site coordinators, will share more on how they meet that vision and work with all of us to really impact the lives and change the circumstances that many of our families live in, which is poverty, drug abuse, domestic abuse, like a lot of the things that you think about that expanded learning is for. We have it here, and the folks on this fireside chat today are making a direct impact to change the course of students' lives. So
before we jump to Lupe, I just want to unpack something. You mentioned an acronym, LEA, that stands for Local Educational Agency.
yes.
And that means that the county is the actual applicant for the funding or the pass-through, and then other districts are under the county in kind of a consortium model. Is that
Yes.
correct? Yes. Yeah. Good. Just wanted to make sure. So Lupe, how you doing? Welcome.
Thank you. I'm doing well. How about yourself?
Glad to be here.
I'm the area liaison here for the County Office of Education, and I oversee 10 sites. I've been in this role for 2 years, and I have a passion for changing students' lives. I do not want to see any student out in the street. And working in the after school program expanded learning department is very satisfying to me to see students turned around. And I've seen one of the sites, and that's why we invited Terra. And Terra did an amazing job in her site. And she was going through some hard situations, and it was hard for us at the beginning to come into her community, because before they did not feel supported, and me providing resources not only to her site but to other sites has benefit every site. And I've seen a change drastically, along with Kelly bringing in using ELOP funds along with our expanded learning funds to provide to our county a program, Ninja Warrior. This was something unique, something that they had never experienced, and it would be hard to provide in the past because it wasn't offered to them, because we don't have any resources like the big cities where you can go to different places. We just have one Walmart here and it's just, we're so isolated from different places we can shop around and have contact with other people. So this was a big hit, and Kelly helped us develop this, and the students really enjoyed being part of it. And we seen those happy faces, those kids that were enthusiastic that whole week that they had this experience. And it's an ongoing process that we've been doing on a monthly basis, bringing resources, bringing activities, virtuals, just like Kelly mentioned, using outside people that can help us provide and expand every little mind of those little kids that are going to be our future.
That's awesome. So do you like go to Walmart to socialize? So,
that's kind of like our mall.
Yeah, no criticism here. So Krysta, you shared with us, you have a very interesting path to get to your spot. Tell us why you chose to take this path.
What a great question. So I actually went to college to be a teacher. And while I was going to college, I started working at a bank, and I just got stuck at the bank. But that is always something that was in my heart, was I wanted to be an elementary school teacher, actually. Very specific goal. And, it was just really easy to stay at the bank. But as the years went on and I had a family and got more and more involved with my community here, once I moved back to Siskiyou County, it's always something I wanted to get back into. And this is a very good role for me, because the managerial support math background that I have really supplements the early childhood education background that I also have. So even though I haven't been in the sites and I haven't done the job of a site coordinator, I am so grateful to all of those site coordinators that we have out there. And it makes me even more passionate to give them the support, the help, the resources, whatever I can, because I can see how hard their job is. And I know how hard they work and how much they love their students. So I just want to be able to be that support and help build that connection and community for them.
Krysta, welcome back to where you belong.
Thank you.
You know, you're now part of a expanded learning family in California that's tens of thousands of us who, like you, are making moves, intentional moves to make a difference. Yeah. So Terra, what's your story? Tell us about your work.
Well, I'm really thankful to be working in expanded learning because it's just structured different with lots of different kinds of support, and just the relationships with the county and my relationships with the kids on the floor. It's all different as opposed to, like you said, the teachers during the regular day. I really, what motivates me is being able to like plant the seed for them through enrichment and learning activities. They can express creativity that contributes to their life goals and skills that they're going to use later.
It's awesome. Thank you for what you're doing. We'll dig more into that. But Jake, introduce yourself to us.
Hey, my name's Jake. I work for Delphic Elementary School. I've been here for a little less than a year now, took over in this position. I made a major career change myself. I came from basically factory work. I worked in a plywood manufacturing facility, and I was there for about 7 years. Worked up and through management, and decided, my wife is a teacher, and I got really jealous of her schedule. And so I ended up applying as a secretary over here. And that developed into moving into the after school program, which is where I'm at now. And similar to what everyone else has been saying, and the value of working in the schools is just so great. I like being able to pass on my own interests in through the after school program. It's nice having the freedom of getting to kind of choose what you want to do. So then I get to kind of focus on the technology type things is where I thrive. And so I like to teach coding in my after school, different small science experiments. And then we've got a really cool summer program set up for to utilize our ELOP dollars as best as we can. And we can get into that later, or wasn't sure how you wanted to address that.
Yeah, well, before, as I'm chatting with all of you, I'm remembering many years ago, I was a couple of years into this job. I drove north. I drove past Mount Shasta, past Weed, and then kind of hung a right and looped all the way up to the Oregon border, and then a little bit back down to a small town where they grew a lot of potatoes. Does that ring a bell?
Possibly Butte Valley, I'm thinking.
Doris. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was so vivid to, well, first of all, it smelled like where I grew up because they were in potato harvest. So it was very nostalgic. The town was about the same size. And to be on that campus and to talk to the principal and the teachers, it was very, I mean, it was years and years ago, maybe 8 years ago. And I remember it like it was yesterday. So I'm curious for any one of you to just jump in and, like, a day in the life of a Siskiyou County family. What goes on? What are some of the challenges they face, and how does this opportunity to really support and care for kids, and how does that support families in terms of some of their, challenges and opportunities they face?
I'd like to share one thing. So at Junction, we're super rural. Like we don't have a Walmart, we don't have cell service, and a lot of times when it rains, we don't even have electricity because it's a highly wooded area and everything. So basically, when there's a fundraiser or a meal that somebody in the community is putting on, everybody's there. So everybody's totally connected here. And a couple months back, we were going through a really sad situation on a community level. And it was directly linked to one of our school or students. She had lost a sibling to homicide, and then another person passed, a very close relative to one of our students. So our school was just gloomy. Our community was grieving, and it was really sad. Things were just off during the school day. Kids weren't focusing. Nobody was happy. And then when we went to the Ninja Warrior course, it was kind of like a way out, like a brighter day. And it kind of pulled all the kids out of the circumstances, because when we got there, they're completely happy. And then we had a visitor here from the show alone, Britt Ahart. So that kind of pulled us up out of the mud for that struggle that we're having to be invited. And the kids were just they're still talking about it. So
You mentioned the Ninja Warrior course twice. That conjures up all types of images in my mind, most of them probably not accurate. What is the Ninja Warriors course?
it's a ninja coalition off of American Ninja Warrior. And they actually come with Joe Moravsky, the weatherman. He's famous. He's beat the course several times. And it's like this huge set of equipment that the kids can go through and meet the challenges physically. They have like a wall you run up, and then they have a bunch of like bars you swing on and hurdles and all kinds of things. But they actually set it up. It's an exact mimic of the one that's on the show. So the kids were all totally into it.
That's awesome. And they actually bring that to you?
Yeah, the Siskiyou County Office of Education partners with them to come, and they invite different sites to be able to be included.
Expanding horizons.
It was fantastic. I mean,
Providing opportunities.
that opportunity totally pulled our whole school out of the dumps when we were invited to that.
And then I invite Terra, your follow-up to that. That was the game changer. That was the thing that shifted them into thinking differently. But if I may, can I invite Terra to share about the Heartbreak Pot project that you did, which was really the healing piece that I think really moved everybody in a forward direction, if I may.
Yes. So we're scrambling as all the staff and people that care to figure out we had to do something, and from the trauma. And so I searched around and found this one project that really caught my eye, and it was called the Heartbreak Pot. So we took 2 ceramic pots, 2 pots for the lower graders and the upper graders. And then I actually let them go outside and break them, like slam them on the ground. So that was allowing them the opportunity to release any type of feelings they had. And these pots didn't break easy. We tried hammers with safety goggles, and finally we had to wrap it up in a towel, and they had to all slam it on the ground together. And so finally the pots were broken. So then we had to pick up all the pieces, and they had to write feelings of strength on the outside, things that would put the pot back together, and feelings of hurt on the inside. And all these students opened up and put their exact feelings of who they were grieving or what the specific situation was they were going through. They opened up and did that on their own on the inside of the pot. And then came the part where it was time to glue it back together. So it was hard. I struggled. We all struggled. And I was like, wow, this is really symbolic to grief, because, you can't just pick up the pieces and put them back together in one sitting. It takes a while. And then sometimes you're still going to be missing a few, and that's okay. Just like the pot. So yeah, that was a probably one of the most impacting projects that I've done so far at Junction. It was really, really good. I highly recommend that to anybody that's going through any kind of grief or trauma or anything. It's a great activity for all ages. They were all totally interested in the whole thing the whole time, which is sometimes what I struggle with, is keeping kindergarten through 8th engaged in one specific activity. But that one was a total success, and they were able to really express themselves.
I've not heard of that before, and that's a very powerful image. As you told that story, I was imagining the kids try to break that pot, and just imagine them doing that. Because it was hard to break, they had to do it together.
Mm-hmm.
The work of doing that, that's very powerful. I've not heard of that. Thank you.
Yes.
Jake, you were about to jump in. I saw you unmute.
Yeah, I was going to add earlier, a couple of times people had said, like there's not as much to do here and things along those lines, right? I would argue that it's just a different flavor. It's like city versus country life. So there's still plenty of stuff to do here. It's just different than classic amenities. So we've got, as you mentioned, Mount Shasta. Right now, my kids are up on the mountain doing their ski lessons today. So we have a lot of really great opportunities outdoors. And that's kind of like a nice, easy segue into our summer program. We are contracting with a local camp. It's an outdoor adventure camp where, you've got swimming, horseback riding, archery, ropes course, rock climbing, just all kinds of really awesome opportunities, swimming, whitewater rafting. And that's where we put a lot of our eggs in that basket for the ELOP, to give our kids those extra opportunities. As I mentioned, we do all kinds of really fun stuff here on site, but I can't offer rafting. I can't offer rock climbing, things like that. And so we really tried to invest in our summer program to give these kids extra opportunities and stuff to do with their hands so that they're not at home bored or, just only on video games all summer.
I think I want to come to your summer program.
We had a few people call and ask, like, hey, so can I enroll my kid and then unenroll after the summer? It's like, unfortunately, it doesn't work that way, but we'd be happy to have you permanently.
Well, you've alluded to this, the ELOP, the Expanded Learning Opportunity Program funding. Kelly, maybe I toss this to you. We keep running into situations where we're hearing of districts that, probably because we've trained people to do this for decades, that they think they have to keep this separate from ACEs. And so in some cases, they're setting up two different programs in the same area, but it seems like you're working to make this more seamless for the kids and families. Do you have anything you could share about that?
Oh, absolutely. Actually, through your fireside chats and through conversation with our Region 2 support team, and just continuing to ask questions regularly, getting us to be able to have the understanding of what that means to blend and braid and make one cohesive program, that it's not regular school, after school, summer school, it's one school. And so we're just perpetuating that conversation to all of our site superintendents, principals, district leaders. And we are not responsible for the ELOP dollars. Each district is themselves. But we are, myself, Krysta, and Lupe, are doing all the study work of what ELOP is, what the requirements are, what it means, what it can look like, what quality could be. And we're out just talking. And the districts are starting to warm up. It's been a year. And now they're starting to warm up, and I'm getting phone calls, and they're like, hey, how do I put my program plan together? Hey, it's just like the ACES program plan. Let's talk and we'll work through it together. Hey, can I spend money on this? Absolutely. It flows and fluctuates together. It's all one program. You're serving the same student in all of these programs. They're not one student for this, one student for that, one student for this. They aren't, multiple people. They're one person. And so how do we build your school to support all the students to get the most engagement and reconnecting to learning? Because that's what the point is. there's been a disconnect over for whatever many reasons, you know, of getting students engaged in active learning. And so that's our desire as we talk out into the community, out into the districts, is how do you want to get your students back involved in school? All right, let's figure it out. Let's problem solve. Let's be solution oriented. We have a mindset culture shift happening here at the county office. There was for a long time a scarcity mindset. And we're working with districts now to go, no, there's a plentiful mindset. There's an abundance mindset. Let's change our thinking. Because if we think with an abundance mindset, then the things that we need and the resources we need and the people we need will show up. But we have to change our mindset. And so we're working on that culture shift. I would say we're sort of in the beginning, edging into the middle of all that shifting, but it's happening. And we're really looking at the holistic viewpoint of how we engage with students. And to share my philosophy, I truly, truly believe that expanded learning is going to be the catalyst in Siskiyou County anyway, that changes how regular day operates and really get students back on wanting to learn and be educators. It doesn't mean pen and paper in a desk sometimes. Sometimes it means much more than that. And I think with that mindset and just continuing to talk about it out into the districts, into the fields, it's growing, it's spreading. So that's my little soapbox. I'll pop off now. So. Oh, you're on mute. Oh.
I had a dog going crazy. So drop the mic, sister. That was awesome. I'm so glad we caught that on camera. Heather, I'm going to pass it to you in just a minute, but I just want to give Lupe and Krysta, you haven't had a lot of time, but what's on your heart? Like what do you want people to know as they tune in and hear your voice?
I would say just that Jake and Terra are prime examples of what thinking outside of the different boxes look like. I mean, Terra is out there using online resources to do ELOP. You know, she is 2 hours from town, and even here in town, excuse me, like Lupe said, we only have a Walmart. So to be 2 hours, you know, outside of that is quite a ways. And then Jake, who I guess he would be considered city, he's got, you know, he's bringing in all these different things that the student youth leadership, the voices from the kids, what do you want to learn about, and really taking his passions with 3D printing and computer science, or, you know, they're doing hygiene clubs. They do all these different things that the kids just really, you know, they wouldn't know that they didn't know. Especially around here, we have a big focus on agriculture, a big focus on, you know, ranch farm life, that type of thing. So really being able to see that they can do those kinds of things and they can implement those into their lives. They can use computer science in their ranching needs, in that type of thing, even though we are way out here. So just really their creativity, just, it blows me away every day. So that's where my heart's at. It's with them.
Yeah.
I like Krysta, my heart's with all the site coordinators. They have those kids at the end of the day, they're usually tired. And what they have as a duty is big. They need to get them excited. They need to show them, you know, be their support, tutor them. I see all that. And then when the site coordinator connects with that student, they have that bond. They provide so much, and the kids even come up to the site coordinators and say, why don't we do this? Gives them ideas. So for example, Terra, going back to her field trips to the river, just doing different activities with the students. And Jake, like Krysta mentioned, with the coding, just expanding those little brains. I remember walking into Jake's classroom and he had TK in kindergarten. They wanted to build a computer, but they needed that support, an older student to help them create it. But they didn't give up. They didn't know how to read. They didn't know the numbers, but they got that support and they put it together as a team. So the bonding with all of those kids, the students, all that is necessary for our future. So I really, really appreciate everything our site coordinators are doing. They're very creative. They think outside the box and they use whatever resource, either resources that are provided from the county office, or they even go above and beyond to take care of these students, because their students are their priority.
Thank you.
Can I add a couple things to what Jake and Lupe have both said? So on top of Jake's different flavor kind of situation, for ELOP, we're definitely also implementing that in our area. Of course, we've decided to make ELOP and SAFE a seamless program. So I'm partnered with our ELOP director here at school. We're meeting every day and we're making dual decisions on how our program is going to look together and everything like that. So we don't have a lot of big things like here, so we can't just go to a trampoline park. So we're just gonna think outside the box and do the best we can to bring those things onto site. Like we've talked about getting a bounce house for the in-school ELOP days during the summer, and then we are going to be on the river. We're going to do ATV riding and horseback training right up the road, and just taking full advantage of what we do have and being thankful for what we do have. Even though we're really far from any city, we do have a lot of engaging resources, and partnering with like Mid-Klamath Watershed and California Restoration Salmon River Restoration Council, just to learn on how to take care of our environment, is a big one for our programs as well. And I also have a strong bond with our students and our families. Like I really enjoy being their advocate. Our families and our students know if they need something, I'm going to get it here. Like such as counseling services, I'm going to contact until I can find those services provided. And so that's one of our strengths here at Junction and in Siskiyou County overall, I believe, is everybody's very supportive.
Well, thank you all. I know we're coming down to the last few minutes that we have together, and normally I ask folks to kind of wrap up the conversation with, what's your recommendation to other folks in your position? But I think you all kind of unprompted already shared so many leadership lessons and insights and things that folks can take away. And really just want to say how much we appreciate your leadership and your advocacy for your students. Terra, what you were just saying, like, continuing to call until you find the resource you need for your students. That level of advocacy is just truly something wonderful. And so we appreciate you for putting in those hours and that leadership to really support your community. And very fortunate to have you all on this chat, but very much more fortunate to have you in your county providing that leadership. So a huge thank you from me to you all for the work that you are doing each and every day. And Michael, I will just pass it to you for some closing words. Oh, you are on mute again.
First of all, I want to make a correction. There is more than just a Walmart. There's a Black Bear Diner. Because I had lunch there with your former county superintendent. So, Walmart, Black Bear Diner, what more do you need? Heather and I were together yesterday afternoon and kind of dreaming of envisioning what we might do at Boost conference, and in not too long from now. And I made the comment, like, this is really nice to get out of the challenge, like get out of the building, get into a coffee shop, talk with someone about things I care about, envision, dream together. And many of us and many people watching this spend a lot of their time navigating difficult situations and bureaucracies and challenges. And thank you for inspiring me today and inspiring those that are watching, because I'm actually very moved by your passion, your stories, your concrete examples, and the way that you've chosen to act in a way that is supportive of those you care about and those in your communities. So by now, you know what I always close with: lead with love. And that's clearly what you do in Siskiyou County. And California is fortunate that we have you as part of our expanded learning family. Thank you for coming today. And Heather, I'll turn it back to you.
Thanks, Michael. Thanks everyone for joining us. Until next time.